You are now tuned into the sounds of Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Laying here with your head on my shoulder, and in my mind I start going over how we got here and what we've been through, and how I was so lucky to end up with you. Never been so much in love before, and yet I know that there is so much more in store. Before I met you, there's so much that I've never been with you. We're gonna do it all over again. I'm just staying for the rest of my life. I pledge my love to you as my wife. I wanna let you know that I'll always here. You never want for nothing, don't you feel it? Making memories that we'll always share. Do everything I can so you know that I do care. From the moment I said that I do, I've never been so much in love with you. Walking alone with your hand in mine, and I stop to catch my breath because I'm feeling fine. As we dance in the candlelight, put your arms around me, baby, and hold me tight. I don't know much, but I know it's true. All I wanna do is make love to you.
You are now tuned in to Big Nate Sports Talk, the show that's on all the time, anytime. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe for all content. And now, ladies and gentlemen, your host, Nathan Snell. Bring your sports game with Big Nate Sports Talk.
Thank you, Mr. Anthony Haney, for that lovely introduction. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. It is your host, Nathan Snell of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I hope you're all well, doing safe, having a great weekend. February is almost here. January is practically over. I can't believe that. The month of January went by fast. And no snow. So for now, we still got February and March. But before we get into the video, there's a few things I want to say up front. This is episode 15, season 13 of the podcast. In this video, we are previewing the conference finals, AFC and NFC conference matchups. Episode went up yesterday. Thank you for the support that I've gotten on the channel. Maryland women play tomorrow, Penn State. The men won yesterday. Have some thoughts on that. I'm going to share that. I'll have those videos out for you guys. And then free agency's off to a very interesting start. Candace Parker is now a member of the Las Vegas Aces, and that's drawn some interesting criticism, which I don't agree with, but we'll get into that. But other than that, I'm going to have Brendan Potts join me on the episode. Excuse me. He'll be joining me on an episode where we're recapping so far what's happening in the free agency and also to college women's basketball. So if you look on those episodes. But for right now, I'm hoping I'll have this video out as soon as possible. We are down to the final four. These four teams, this should be a great weekend. Today, good game of football. We're going to start with the 49ers versus the Philadelphia Eagles. This is to me the game of the week. I think when I watch these two teams, a couple things that's come to my mind, and I'm gonna start with San Francisco. I think the key to beating Philadelphia is the success running the football. You have when you have Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell, and you use Deebo Samuel in some situations. How can you utilize it against that defense Philadelphia has? I looked at this stat before we started. Kyle Shanahan, I think, took over as head coach in 2017. Because it's their formation, the 21 personnel. They've scored 70 touchdowns out of 21. I think I think they're closest to New England. And if you think about it, is how do you defensively, Philadelphia, stop that? Philadelphia allows only 3 yards per carry against the outside zone. Now the thing is, it's going to be consistent for Philadelphia to run the ball. I think defensively, you've got to take Jalen Hurts. You got to take him the passing, or you got to take him out running. You got to take something away from him. The thing about Jalen Hurts, what makes him such a dynamic quarterback, is the ability that he can throw the ball and run with his legs. That is going to be an interesting challenge to see how the number 1 ranked defense contains that. I think where is the weakness for me for Philadelphia is they're not consistent at times, and I'm explaining why. Just hear me out. When I watched them play, for example, Washington, right? Washington was daring them to pass the ball, and Philadelphia doesn't make the right adjustments at the wrong time. Now, when I look at Philadelphia, right, this is a Philadelphia team that's, I think, arguably the best, has made the case to be one of the best teams in the NFC. I think that for me, it's going to come down to the run game for Philadelphia. San Francisco, who can run the game? Who's going to run the ball better between these two teams? I look at, for example, against New York, Kenneth Gainwell rushed for 100 yards. Boston Scott, I think he has now 11 career touchdown playoff touchdowns against the Giants. But you're going to get a Philadelphia defense that's allowing under 80 yards on the ground. Miles Sanders was your number 1 running back. Well, almost 13. Actually, he was 4 yards from 1,300 on the season, 11 touchdowns. So it's, and then on the other side, you're looking at, again, Christian McCaffrey, Elijah Mitchell. It's going to come down to who can run the ball better, which defense shows up for both teams. When I looked at the Giants, again, the Giants, it was a David versus Goliath. It was going to come down to, for the Giants, like Andrew Thomas is their best offensive lineman, but Hassan Reddick, he abused that matchup. And I think this is going to be interesting to see one of the best left tackles in the game in Trent Williams, and seeing how he contains that matchup. Now, when I look at also too is creating turnovers. Philadelphia's third, where they were 27, and you look at obviously San Francisco's number 1 defense. They're second in turnovers. I think they're third. San Francisco offensively is third in turning the ball over only 17 times, compared to Philadelphia, they're fifth, which is 19. So I think that's another thing, is who can win the turnover battle. Okay. Now, I also too want to bring this stat to you. 3 of San Francisco's 4 losses have come on the road. This is a home game for Philadelphia. You should take advantage of that. San Francisco's on a 12-game win streak. Brock Purdy has not lost as a starter, and the only loss they have was against Carolina. I think for me, those are the keys to the game. But I'm going to give Philly the edge, because for San Francisco to win, it's going to come down to the running game. It's also going to come down to Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's going to have to make the right plays, and it's going to be smart plays. I thought the George Kittle play where he bobbled and caught it, I thought saved them winning the game. I also too think what's key is it's going to come down to their defense. You take away the run for Philadelphia, and you figure out how to contain A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith, and those guys. And also, too, you got to take something away from Jalen Hurts, whether he's coming out the backfield running or throwing it downfield. you got to take something away from Philadelphia. But I want to say Philadelphia is going to win this game, but I feel like San Francisco has a little bit more, and they're riding on high momentum. Both teams are, but this is going to be tough for me. I'm gonna say the Philadelphia Eagles win by a field goal, 27-24.
Guaranteed.
It just smells that for me. I see it winning by a field goal. Like I said, the defense. How do you stop Brock Purdy if you're a pass rush? Secondary against their receivers. Those are things I'm looking forward to in the game. So let's as the Bengals versus the Chiefs. I definitely want the Chiefs to win this game because the Bengals fans are starting to become really obnoxious. And even though the Bengals are legit, last year was not a fluke, beating Josh Allen and the Buffalo Bills last week. This is going to be a good matchup. This is going to be Joe Burrow versus Patrick Mahomes. We know that Arrowhead Stadium is going to be energized and be ready for these guys. It's interesting. The last 5 times these teams have seen each other, 50 points were put on the board. I think Kansas City, they're 13-1 when they rush the ball 70 or more yards. That was interesting that I read. Patrick Mahomes is going to be ready to play. I was a little disappointed to see throughout this week when after he had the ankle injury, there was a lot of hesitation. I don't know if he can win. If the Chiefs can win, Travis Kelce, it's not with a back injury. He's good to play. I think the Chiefs, for me, they know this is a revenge game for them after losing last year to the same team. They're in Arrowhead. They know what to expect. Yes, they are 3-0, beating the Chiefs since Joe Burrow took over back in 2020. Yes. I just think for me, the key is going to come down to the offense. We know what Travis Kelce and those guys are going to do offensively, but it's going to come down to the run game. I think you need to establish the run against Cincinnati. And then show, I think McKinnon and Pashano are all capable of getting at least 70-plus yards because they do allow – they're 16th. They're strong in the run. They're 7th. But in terms of passing, they're in the top, 23, 24th. So it's going to come down to establishing the run early, but also, too, I think you just can't beat Cincinnati throwing the ball because I think you have to show both sides of the football. We know Troy Hendrickson, Sam Hubbard, and those guys, that defensive front is going to give that Kansas City offensive line, which is arguably one of the best in the game. Now, I think also, too, on the flip side for Cincy, it's the running game. We know Joe Mixon is it's a dynamic running back. We know what he brings to the table. You watched him against Buffalo, 2 touchdowns, 105 yards. You had to take something away from Cincinnati, whether it's running and passing the ball, but also to make the Cincinnati Bengals and in the Baltimore series, make them beat you by take away the pass. You've beaten Cincinnati. Make them under the zone or against the coverage. I think one thing is when you take away the big plays for Cincy, they have to work with a shorter field. And in times also, too, you have to generate some pressure against Joe Burrow. Yes, the 3 guys that have been thrown into the Lions' den in massive with injuries. They've stepped up. But I just think for me, it's going to come down to his offensive line. They held up well against Buffalo, but they're going up against one of the best defensive lines in the game. And that's led by Chris Jones. And they're also, too, they can stop the run. Yes, they played Jacksonville, but Travis Etienne is no joke, but he definitely, Chris Jones is showing he's one of the best defensive linemen in the game. For me, I think that's the key. It's going to come down to who can create. Same thing with San Francisco and Philadelphia. Who can create turnovers? Who can establish the run? And all of them, for me, I just feel like all of momentum rides in Kansas City's favor. I'm confident with that. I think Patrick Mahomes, he talked about he's been ready for this game. The Chiefs thrive in their quick passing game. That Patrick Mahomes, that Mahomes Kelsey connection is probably some of the best connections in the game of football. Like, if you want, I can see where they're going to probably drop back and take Kelsey out the game. So there's going to be definitely some improvising. But I can see defensively Cincinnati dropping 7 or 8 guys in coverage. I can see that. But the thing is, for me, I think it's going to come down to who wins in the battle of the trenches. 1, who establishes the run game. 2, and number 3, who can generate the turnovers. You generate turnovers, and you keep. I think that's going to be the keys, and I believe Kansas City can do those things. I'm just not sold on them defensively passing the ball. I'm not sold on that. Offensively, they're legit. Run defense, they're legit. Passing wise, yeah. And I just don't think with you having 3 guys, your left, Jonah Williams, Alex Kappa, and Lionel Collins out. I just don't know how do you keep that interior line in check. And I'm going to say the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl for 31-23.
Guaranteed.
Better get ready. Get your bags ready for Cancun. So, I just think that I think the momentum is all in Kansas City's favor, but also too, I'm not going to sneeze with Cincinnati. I know what those guys are capable of. They have a potent air attack as well, but I think everybody's kind of more concerned about how's Patrick Mahomes going to look in this game because of his ankle injury. I think Patrick Mahomes would do just fine. And the same thing with Joe Burrow. I just think that I feel like this is a revenge game, and the Chiefs know what they're playing for. After losing at home, they know what they're capable of doing. So, with that being said, we are going to move into our last subject of the day, and that is final message.
Incoming message.
Thoughts are running through my mind, so I took some time to find a minute or two to organize.
I know this is not football related, but this is more. I know it's more sports related. When we're having conversations, whether it's football or basketball or conversations regarding sports, it is okay to agree to disagree. We don't have to have the same like-minded thinking. I don't know where that came from. But the one thing that bothers me when we're having these conversations in sports is that we tend to get personal. And that disturbs me because it takes away from growing certain sport communities, but also takes away what we're truly arguing for, because that's not my favorite player or that's not the team I rep, or I may not like because, they don't have much to brag on. That is okay. Like what I've seen these past couple weeks, well, last week and yesterday, like we're completely going away from having sport conversations to getting personal, name calling. Like that takes the fun out of conversating. That more takes away the importance of we're here to grow as sport communities. So I just encourage everybody to we can have a conversation. We can agree to disagree, and that is okay. You may not like what I say as a listener. We can agree and disagree. That is okay. Like I've gotten flack about Carson Wentz. We can agree to disagree. Did he have a good season? No, he did not. But I'm not going to ignore what was around him. That's okay. That's part of having conversations. That's what conversations we should have, but not to the point of where to the point of we're getting personal by name calling or blocking one another. Like that's middle school. That's middle school like behavior. Like we're like, come on now. We have, that's just my final messages. We can agree to disagree. Let's continue to be better when we're having these conversations, especially when we're talking sports, because the last couple of days, even yesterday, I was very disappointed. And just to give some context, there was some stuff that happened on Twitter, and there was a lot of, from me, I thought was very uncalled for. And yesterday, Candace Parker signs with the Las Vegas Aces, and completely we moved the goalpost and saying, they did De'Erica Hamby dirty, when in reality there's three sides to the story: Las Vegas, De'Erica's, and then there's the truth down the middle. Like the fact, it's just I don't understand with certain in sport communities, just agreeing to disagree and moving on and keep it moving. That's just me. So thank you for tuning in. This episode go up as soon as possible. We will recap Maryland's basketball. I'll do that later today. Be tuned in for that. We also look on the lookout for the recap of today's games. Be tuned for future episodes of Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. Brendan Potts will be back on the podcast hopefully sometime next week. I'm trying to really get in the feel into and really trying to get the free agency really get going. I mean, the only really true moves we've made is De'Erica Hamby was traded to the Los Angeles Sparks. Alicia Gray went to Dallas. I mean, not Dallas, Atlanta Dream, I'm sorry. And then, like yesterday, Candace Parker is going to Las Vegas Aces. So I'm trying to really get more of momentum of free agency, for the WNBA free agency, and then we'll have it back on the show. But also, too, we're getting ready for March Madness. So we got less than 8 or 9 games left of the season. So until then, please like, comment, and subscribe for all content. This is your host, Ethan Snell. Thank you for joining and tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk Podcast. I will catch you guys on the flip side. Y'all have a good night. Peace. Stay up.
Sitting looking back on all the times we shared, when I acted like I just didn't really care, and it wasn't fair. You stood by me, girl, and now was so untrue. This is my promise, girl, I give to only you. Let me be the one you come running to. When you need me, I'll be there, just to let you know that I do care. Girl, I promise I'll always be true. Baby, I promise that I'll be right here for you, no matter the problem, baby. I'll be by by your side. 'Cause the love we share can never.
Thank you for tuning in to Big Nate Sports Talk. If you enjoyed that episode and you want to see more content, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Bring your sports game on Big Nate Sports Talk. It's on all the time, anytime.
Thank you. And you helped me retain my sanity. Thank you. I want to thank you. And I want to thank you. All I want to do is say thank you for everything